Who was the first king in the world? The answer, it seems, may be lost to the dust of history, simply because written records of the first king may not have survived time. It is then possibly an unanswerable question, says Mark Mann, a history professor at Penn State University by email. The primary challenge, of course, is that there are no complete historical records documenting kings who lived 5,000 years ago. There is also the matter of which ancient words referred that what we think of as kings. In the area around Egypt, for example, the word Pharaoh didn't come into use until perhaps 1570 BCE. Some historians say that Egypt may lay claim to the world's first king, perhaps Iri-Hor or Namur. They point to the Sumerian king list, an ancient manuscript filled with the kings, real and fictitious, who once ruled the area around modern-day Iraq. This text, discovered in the early 20th century, is so old that its first pages are inscribed on cuneiform tablets. According to a later Mesopotamian tradition enshrined in the Sumerian king list, the first king was Alulim, ruler of the city of Eridu. He lived in the mythological time before the deluge, and it is credited with a reign of 28,000 years, says Eckhard Fromm, professor of Near Eastern languages and civilizations at Yale University, via email. According to the same source, the first king after deluge was a certain Gashur, who is said to have ruled in the city of Kish for 1,200 years. The Sumerian king list has some remarkable similarities to the early chapters of Genesis, including a story of a great flood or deluge, which in the Bible involves Noah's Ark. The Sumerian king list is anything but literal. It blends reality with mythology. Thus, the king supposedly had reigns lasting tens of thousands of years. Many of the individuals mentioned in the first sections of the Sumerian kings list are, however, clearly fictitious figures, and this may well apply to the aforementioned ones, says Fromm. Among the first rulers whose names are documented in contemporary written sources are Mi-Barajesi of Gish, Akka Inanaka of Umma, and a certain Har II, exact pronunciation unknown, of the city of Pagar, modern Tel Agrab. They probably ruled around 2700–2600 BCE. Mi-Barajesi is called the first ruler of Mesopotamia, and our evidence of his rule comes from inscriptions found on waste fragments. As the leader of Kish, a northern Babylonian city, he reportedly defeated Elam, a civilization found in what's now Iran, and then went on to lead his people for 900 years, not including the ridiculous lifespan. Mi-Barajesi might be the first king in history, but he is not the only claimant to this title. This first ruler whose reign we can somewhat see is that of the person buried in Tomb Uj at Abydos, says John Darnell, Egyptology professor at Yale University, via email. This tomb dates to about 3320 BCE. Chronologically, he appears to have been the first ruler of what we call Dynasty Zero, the unified kingdom of Upper Egypt, whose last ruler, Narmer, consolidates Upper Egyptian control of the north and establishes the first dynasty. The oldest surviving element of identifiable royal regalia, a crook of the standard Egyptian crook and flail pair, was actually found during the re-excavation of the tomb by the German Archaeological Institute in Egypt. The burial also contained numerous examples of marking systems, prominent amongst these a series of inscribed bone labels.